This video is sponsored by the Skin Silo mobile app, where anyone can earn CSGO and PUBG skins just by downloading apps and completing tasks at no financial cost to you. Use either the app or skinsilo.com to earn your skins, and while using my promo code PAIDSPRAYS to earn some bonus points. Check out Skin Silo on the App Store or Google Play and start earning your free skins today. When the initial beta release of Source Filmmaker hit back in 2012, data miners at the time were treated to some of the first hints towards where Valve thought they were going. Flash forward about 4.5 years, and only 2 pieces of software can run it: a port of a previously Source Engine game and an experimental social media VR thing, with only one other game confirmed for the future: Counter-Strike Global Offensive. The first official hint of a Source 2 port was back during Gabe Newell's AMA on January 17th. Alongside Mr. Newell were members of Valve from the TF2, VR, and CSGO teams. Specifically for CSGO, artist Ido McGall. When asked, quote, "When is the Source 2 engine coming out for CSGO?" Mr. McGall states, "Source 2 is a bunch of system rewrites. For CSGO, we evaluate these new systems on their individual merits. Some CSGO rework is in progress, such as the UI that utilizes parts of Source 2. Other systems might follow. Some Source 2 systems might never be right for CSGO. As far as a roadmap is concerned, our priorities for 2017 are to replace the UI with Panorama, to make CSGO available in more territories where a lot of Counter-Strike fans don't have easy access to it, and anti-cheat. We haven't considered community managers because in general we prefer to communicate by shipping game updates. We try to avoid disrupting conversations happening in the community, which is why we tend to be quiet a lot of the time." What's interesting is how Mr. McGall tries to distance himself from an entire game engine port, and instead shows off either backporting Source 2 features or just the use of Source 2 tools. However, not even a month later, Ido McGall was found stating,
"Well, yeah, so Source 2, which is in CSGO's future, probably every Valve's product future that isn't already Source 2, is easier content creation, and so that is the long-term vision. The short-term vision is follow the user and the community along their interests." And, yeah.
Now, later that year in April, that point was further proven during the Perfect World Chinese launch event. So what happened? It seems that the CS team will be taking a different approach to porting. Instead of launching a fully playable game on a new engine, the team will slowly port over the features most important to what the gameplay needs, and over time the engine will slowly morph, with a final marketing push down the road. If January McGall is to be believed, then Panorama, Source 2's UI system, is the first major feature for Counter-Strike Global Offensive, allowing for significant customization and use of 3D assets within the UI, likely coinciding with a significant overhaul and redesign, something that was hinted at with the October 10th update of this year. Side note, as with Dota 2 and TF2, any update that could be tagged as major, the content downloaded is usually not as clean as a normal bug fix patch. By clean, I mean that in the haze of finishing a project up, the team members may forget to completely remove all references to other in-development content. Sometimes this is done intentionally. When done intentionally, we refer to this process as pre-leaking. Within the 10.10 update were 3 major things pertaining to Source 2. Number 1, sound references for new UI features. Not sounds, only the references to the file path of the sounds, called UI menu scroll, UI menu select, and UI menu select SML01. Number 2, hammer tutorial sound references. Now, speculation. References for boundary, ledge, level geo, north, and props are found. With an engine rewrite, creative players will be treated to Hammer 2, a substantial upgrade to Valve's current level design software. These sound files in particular, being labeled as accessibility, seem to be a possible tutorial for level design. Now, speaking of Hammer 2, there is a folder within the update called S2 Reference Geo, and within this folder are a bunch of 3D files related to models. The models are labeled things such as urban, market, kibosh, and center. These are all small chunks of Dust 2's basic geometry in a model form, and it's possible to stitch them all together and view all of these as one connected map. Why are there models? Well, because they were created in Source 2. Maps in Source 2 use meshes, or models as they're normally called, for all level geometry. And what the Counter-Strike team did was create the map in Source 2 and compile them over as models, converting the models into something everything Source 1 can read, which is why they had to divide it up into chunks. They then finished up development of the map using these models as a base, or a reference, as the files state. Essentially, these models show a beta version of the Dust 2 Remake's layout, complete with very robust layout changes. Issue is, these are models, and when porting models into Hammer from Source 2 into Source 1, they lack collision, meaning everything only appears to exist. Actually loading the map would cause the player to fall into a void. It's not actually there, there's nothing for the player to walk on. It would take a crazy person to then go into Hammer and add clipping and collision to literally everything in the map. Essentially, you would be remaking the entire map from scratch. So down in the description is a playable version of the beta Dust 2 remake originally created in Source 2. Huge thanks to Jackathan for doing the clipping work. Big projects are coming from him and I. They don't have anything to do with Valve, but oh, they're interesting. And hopefully, since the CS team is working in Source 2's development tools, the port is sooner rather than later. However, Devil's Advocate, maybe going through the convoluted model porting process is still easier than creating anything in the Source engine. Once again, huge thanks to the Skin Silo app for sponsoring this video. I'm Tyler McVicker. Have a good day. Adios.